Last night, I had a conversation with the chief rabbi of Russia, Rabbi Ariel Rav-Noy, and he shared with me a marvelous experience that happened a few years ago on Chanukah. He was invited by the Kremlin for a personal audience with President Vladimir Putin. The time of the audience was Friday afternoon, but he took a look and he saw that Friday it's a winter in Moscow, and Shabbos comes in approximately 3 o'clock p.m. and it's also Chanukah. So he has to get home early, he has to light the Chanukah candles, his wife has to light Shabbos candles, he has to go to shul. So he asked the Kremlin if the meeting could be postponed to another day, but no, President Putin insisted that he has to see him that day, and it would be 12 o'clock p.m. sharp, so he would have enough time to get back from the Kremlin home and light the Chanukah candles, light the Shabbos candles, prepare for Shabbos, and welcome our holy day. And when Putin says you gotta come, you gotta come. So Rabbi Lazar arrived at the Kremlin. He was there 12 o'clock sharp. But as he was about to enter the office of the president, he heard loud arguments and disputes from the office. Apparently, labor organization was inside the office, and there was a lot of bickering and arguing going on, and the meeting kept on being pushed off, and from 12 to 1 and 1 to 2. And Rabbi Lazar at this point got a little anxious, but they told him, don't worry, President will make this fast, but he has to see you today. This is extremely important. He has to communicate a vital message to the Russian Jewish community. So Rabbi Lazar remained. He arranged for his wife to deliver a menorah to the Kremlin so that if he sees the time to Shabbos is too short, he will be able to light the menorah in the Kremlin. Sometime later, he was admitted to the office of President Putin. They had this meeting. He finally comes out of the meeting. He takes a look at the clock and he sees it's too close to Shabbos. He will not get home on time to kindle the menorah before Friday sunset. He tells the aides of the president, I have a menorah here. Please prepare it for me. I need to go light. They say, yes, we will prepare it for you, but now you must go out and speak to the press. This is important. There's a press conference. You got to speak to the press. He says, okay, we're going to make this in a few minutes. And he finishes the press conference. And they point him to the room, a beautiful room right near the office of Vladimir Putin. And the menorah is set up right there in the middle of the table for him to light. And he turns to the aides of the president. He says, no. This is not the Shabbos candles. This is the Chanukah candles. We either got to do it at the window, or actually my custom is to do it by the door. But to put it by the door, you need a small table. And even though it's the Kremlin, go find a small table that's appropriate for the menorah. And they begin a search. And they find a small table and they set it up by the door. And now the menorah is by the door and there's oil and wicks. And Rabbi Lazar says, I need a match to light the shamash, to be able to light what was the first Chanukah candle. Rabbi, we're not allowed to smoke in the Kremlin. There's no fire, there's no match, there's no lighter. Sorry, any other way to do this? Can you just make the blessing and the prayer without the fire? He says no. And he takes a look and he sees there's only 4 minutes left to Shabbos. Then he thinks to himself, when I came into the Kremlin, outside there was a security guard. I'm sure he might smoke. He asks them to go look for a match. But he realized he got to do it himself. Takes the elevator, runs down, gets a lighter from the guard, runs back up, lights the menorah. The aides of the president are watching him light the menorah at the doorway in the Kremlin, right near the office of President Putin. He makes the blessing. Haneres halalu anu madlikin ala tshuos ala nisim ala nefloyos. We light these candles for all of the beautiful miracles that Chanukah commemorates. He looks outside as the sun is slowly setting on the horizon of Moscow, and a new Shabbos comes in to the world. Now he has to walk home and walk to shul. And it's almost a walk of an hour and a half. And it's Moscow in the winter. And it's one of the coldest nights in Moscow. 10 or 15 below zero. So he sits there for a few minutes at the menorah. enjoying his final moments of warmth and comfort. He says goodbye to the aides and he begins his trek home. And suddenly he turns around. Who's accompanying him? The Russian minister of religion. The man says, "You're not walking home alone. I am walking home with you." He says, "You're a Gentile. You can drive. You don't have to walk with me on Shabbos. I'll walk home. I'm fine." He says, No. You're here because of us. We brought you here. We are the ones responsible for this whole chaos and commotion and mess, and therefore it's my personal responsibility as the minister of religion to walk home with you on Shabbos. On the trek home, it's freezing cold. And Rabbi Lazar turns to him and says, I just want to ask you a question. I made a real commotion over there with the menorah and the table and the window and the matches and the fire and walking home. Are you a little annoyed with me? Do you think I'm a little crazy? How do you feel about it? And he looks at him and he says, you think we can't deal with Jewish spiritual leaders who don't take Judaism so seriously? Of course we could, but we don't want to because we can't really trust them. You're a man we know we can trust. You have principles. You have values. You're going to walk home on Subbota, on Shabbos. You are the types of leaders we trust and we want to deal with. The world respects Jews who respect Judaism. The world is embarrassed by Jews who are embarrassed by their history, heritage, and faith. Never be ashamed to be like the oil, true to your identity. Happy Chanukah.
TheYeshiva.net